Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and this is week 15 of the Stash Buster block series. And today our block is called Cheyenne, and this is an 8-inch block which could easily be turned into a 12-inch block if you like. Has a lot of pieces in it, a lot of half square triangles and a couple of squares. I did this in 3 colors and they're all solids. I didn't put any prints in this one. And I'm going to adjust the camera and show you what fabrics you need to make this block. Okay, here are all the fabrics that you need, and start out with your lightest fabric for your background, and you're going to need 4 2 7/8 of an inch squares. For your darkest fabric, you're going to need 2 2 7/8 inch squares, and then 4 2.5 inch squares. And then for your medium fabric, you'll need 2 2 7/8 inch squares and 4 2.5 inch squares. So it's the same. Your dark and your medium are the same as far as you need. To start the block here, we're going to do the half square triangles, which you can see here in this corner and this corner here. And to do that, we're going to draw a diagonal line on the back side of each of the lightest fabrics, and just need to take a straight edge and put it on there corner to corner and draw a line. And you can use a pencil or a pen or air soluble marker or water soluble marker, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't need to draw a dark line, you just need to be able to see that. And what that is going to do is be your guideline for stitching. That will be, you're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch on each side of that line. Is what you're going to do, and then you'll use that line to cut those pieces apart, and that'll give you 2 half square triangles. So we're going to finish these up. Okay, and now we're going to pair them up, and if you look on the original block, you can see there is a dark with the light and there's a medium with the light, and there's a set of each of these. There's actually 2 sets. So we're going to match the 2 7/8 inch squares of both colors with one of these. So I'm going to put right sides together, and since my solids are the same front and back, I don't have to worry about right sides, but put your right sides together. And then we're going to sew 1/4 inch away from that drawn line on both sides of that drawn line. So now we're all ready to stitch these. The thread I'm using is a 50 weight thread by Superior, and it is their So Fine line, and this is color number 401, which is a slightly off white color. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch away from this line, and I'm at just a regular stitch length. It's a 2.5. And I'm going to chain all these pieces together, which means I'm going to just stick them in the machine one right after the other, and they'll be connected by thread, so they're all chained together. Now I'm just going to turn the whole chain around and stitch the other side. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. and trim off any loose threads. Those seem to be okay. And now I'm going to come apart and I'm going to cut along that drawn line there. And then I'll press them open. Okay, I'm going to lay the dark side up on all of these and press them open. And I'll start with a couple at a time. Just going to press them flat and then just roll them back, press them open. Okay, now we're all ready to lay out the block. First thing I'm going to do is to trim off all these little dog ears. They just add bulk to the quilt and they don't really serve any purpose and they tend to just get in my way, so I'm just going to trim those off. Okay, I'm just going to follow my sample and we're going to start with a dark half square triangle, and then we're going to use a 2.5 inch medium and then a 2.5 inch dark, and then the other half square triangle with the medium, and that's going to go, those are going to point in, and then we'll use a medium square, a dark half square triangle, and that half square triangle is going to face the one that's opposite it. And then we're going to use another half square triangle, but we're going to use this color, and that one's going to face the other one up here. And then I need a dark 2.5 inch square. And another dark 2.5 inch square starts the next row. And a medium half square triangle, a dark half square triangle, and a medium 2.5 inch square. Medium 2.5 inch triangle, and that one faces that. And a dark 2.5 inch square, medium 2.5 inch square, and a dark half square triangle, and that faces that direction. So there we go. We're all ready to sew it together, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it in rows, and then I'll sew all the rows together. And I'm going to take my first two pieces and sew them together, and I'm going to be careful of the seam here. I want to make sure that I don't flip that up, but the way it's going to go through the machine, it's going to come through this way, so it should be fine. So I'm just going to measure, or just so I'm just going to match up my raw edges. And if you have leaders and enders, this is a good quilt block to use them on, because these pieces are small, and that may help you out. I don't happen to have one, and though I could make one real quick, I think I'm just going to skip it for this time. Okay, now I'm going to do the second two pieces, and I'm just going to keep them chained together for right now. Just matching up all my raw edges. And run them through. Now I could keep chain piecing all of them together, but this is where I get confused and get my pieces out of order, so I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to open them up and double check the layout with my sample block, and I know these two pieces go together, so we're going to put them right sides together, and sew 1/4 inch seam. Now I have row 1 done, and I'm just going to lay that back in position on my pressing board. Here is row 1. Actually, it goes this way. So I'll put this on my board. I'll just lay it out the way it needs to go, and then I'll press all of these rows at one time. So I'm going to start on row 2, take the first 2 pieces and do the same thing, just line up the raw edges. And I'm adjusting my needle as I go. Sometimes the presser foot likes to lift up the fabric and throw everything off, so I'm keeping an eye on that. Okay, so I got those pieces. Cut thread tails and then cut them apart right there. And I'm going to double check my layout again. There's the first 2 pieces. This is the edge piece, this is the center. And just double checking my layout so that I don't have to redo anything. Now on these 2 pieces that are going together, right here, you've got the angles coming together, so I want those to meet up well, and to do that I'm going to have to keep an eye on those. I'm going to turn it this direction, and I'm going to start at that corner, because what I have right here is I want to line up this seam with this one up here. These 2 seams need to line up, so I'm trying to keep them from being off to one side, and that is a little difficult to do. To make this easier to put all these together, I'm going to resew this section and fold this seam down instead of towards the dark. We're going to go towards the light, and this is the medium fabric, so it's not going to shadow through as much as if I did it with the darker fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just stitch that little section right there. And then let's look at the layout again. Okay. Nest these 2 seams together right here, and then sew that seam. Get my threads to do what I want them to do. Okay, and that makes a nice point there, right there. Okay, so for this piece, I went ahead and I pressed the seam towards the light fabric. There, and then do the last 2 pieces. And then we're going to sew this seam, and those angles should just butt up against each other and sew together real easily. And it did. I think that went real smoothly. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Lay this one down and do the last row. Okay, now we're ready to press the rows. Okay, now I have all 4 rows and I have to decide which way I want to press them. Okay, I'm going to press this row. I'm going to start with the top row. I'm just going to press them all this direction. And so I'm just going to make sure the seams will flip that direction there. For this row, I want to press the opposite direction, so I want to go this way. And you can use steam if that helps. And this row, I'm going to press it the same way I did row 1. And this one is the same as row 2, so I'm going to go this way. Okay, now I need to sew all of these rows together and the block will be done. Okay, row 1, I need to make sure my seams are butted up against each other, and then we have a point here that I want to keep that fabric up at the top so that I can see where the stitches cross, and I want my needle to go just right above where those 2 lines cross. So I'm coming up to that point, and I can see where the stitches cross each other, so let's see how this worked. There we go. And a nice point right there. Okay, now I'm going to sew the next row. And once again, I have points to match, so I'm going to keep an eye on those. Well, this doesn't always work out for me, but I try really hard to get those to come out so that you can see the points really well. We'll see how it goes. And match up the seam. And then I have where the stitches cross here. I can see that. And that looks like it's going to hit in a good spot. And that looks pretty good. So let's add the last row. Okay, here we go, and now we can press for the final time and our block is complete. So here I have 4 of the Cheyenne blocks all laid out, and they will make a little bit of a different pattern if I switch them. If you see right here, I have them so that we have opposite colors going everywhere. But if I take these and I switch it so that we have the same colors matching, we get a little bit of a different look. It's not very real prominent, but you can see, especially right in here where all those colors are matching, it gives you a little bit of a different look. So that's about all you can do with this block. But I think it's a real interesting pattern that it makes. And I think it would be really interesting in a quilt. So this is the Cheyenne block. This is a 4-patch. It's an 8.5-inch finished block, but on my blog you will find the written instructions, and there will be instructions there if you want to make this into a 12-inch block. Those instructions are there for the sizes to cut all of your pieces. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.